If you thought fake news was a problem in the United States of America, wait until you hear what's going on in Canada. Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and you can probably see by the backdrop that I'm quite clearly not in Montreal. I'm in Florida for the weekend. It's a blitz in and out. This is not a vacation. This is not a permanent having escaped from Canada just yet. James O'Keefe from Project Veritas a while back invited me to an event for the launch of his new book called The American Muckraker, which I've listened to, and it's phenomenal, but that's going to be a discussion for a separate vlog. He invited me down to attend the event, asked me to be one of the speakers, so I'm actually going to speak for a few minutes at it, and I was honored and flattered and said, obviously, yes. At a time before the government of America issued a warning that as of last Saturday, anyone entering the United States of America had to be fully vaccinated. Any foreigner, sorry, not any American or anyone with a visa. Any foreigner entering the United States of America as of last Saturday needs to show full proof of vaccination. And I had something of a conundrum, a quandary. What was I going to do? You all know my dilemma, my position on all of this. You've seen the videos that I put out about the vaccine passport that's being implemented in Quebec in order to enter big box retail stores, the liquor stores. You know my position. This was booked and planned well in advance, and there was no way to drive down to Florida to attend this event. So I went to the airport, hoped that they would not ask me to show papers like a dog in a kennel show. And they did, and I did, and it hurt a part of my spirit. And the travel experience under COVID has basically made travel a luxury for those with the means, and basically a luxury for the exclusive group who can show full vaccination to travel to the United States now, because if you are not fully vaccinated, setting aside reluctance to show the proof, you just can't do it. But the rules are so idiotic. I left this experience thinking that humans are not quite as smart as we think we are. You have to show proof of vaccination, attest to it, to get into the airport. And then in the airport, at the restaurants, they ask you to show your QR code to enter a restaurant in the airport, in a portion of the airport that you can only get into if you're double vaccinated or exempt. And I couldn't take the spanking twice. I said, this makes no sense. I'm not going to show you the passport here. I'll take the food to go and eat in the other portion of the airport where I only had access to because I happen to be fully vaccinated. And it makes me sick to even perceive of myself as thinking that I belong in a group where I get to say, this is a very exclusive location reserved only for, you know, the non-rowdy, the non-rabble of society. And then you get on the airplane, and I was wearing my funny mask again, and most airline attendants had a good sense of humor about it, except for one who I duped her. And she said, pull up your mask, please. And I said, oh, this is my mask. And she came back a little later, not going to let me get away with my mockery, and then went after my wife, who had the mask a little bit lower than her nostrils. And she was sure to tell her, pull it up properly above your nostrils. And the warnings that they give on the airplane. You can take your mask off to eat, but please make sure you finish your drink in no less than 15 minutes, in no more than 15 minutes. You're on a plane filled with people, all of whom are double vaccinated, presumably, all of whom are wearing masks, and they have this highly scientific order that you can only remove your mask for less than 15 minutes to consume your drink. It's nuts. It's rule-based systems that I think give purpose to humans to enforce the rules, and there's absolutely no logic to it, in my humble opinion. Which brings us full circle to the intro, fake news in Canada if you thought you had it bad in the States, and these arbitrary, idiotic, tyrannical rules that are wholly unscientific coming down from the government. I've done a bunch of videos now on the progression of the Freedom Convoy 2022 that is making its way not just from British Columbia to Ottawa, but from the East Coast, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. Truckers of Canada and truckers of the world have united to say to the Trudeau government, enough with these idiotic rules, enough is enough. We are protesting. We're going to drive in a convoy from coast to Ottawa until you remove not just the vaccine mandate that they imposed on truckers, despite the fact that Omar Alghabra, the Minister of Transport in Canada, recognized that 90% or over of truckers are fully vaccinated. Despite that, they thought they needed to impose a vaccine mandate on truckers. Probably one of the most solitary professions out there. To borrow a joke from Ezra Levant of Rebel Media, possibly one of the most solitary jobs other than lighthouse keeper. They decided that these people are the ones they need to flex their government muscle on and say, you must submit or you lose your jobs or you can't come into the country to deliver goods to Canadian citizens. So who are they punishing at the end of the day? It has snowballed into a movement where at first, and I've been documenting this in real time, the CBC, state-funded fake news out of Canada, has been downplaying by ignoring this convoy. They ran an article about this convoy in British Columbia, truckers, a couple hundreds of truckers, they said, who were protesting road conditions. That's how the CBC framed it initially. Then the story became a little bit too big for the CBC to actually get away with lying about. They went back, stealth-edited the original article to say, oh, this is a different convoy than the one that is heading to Ottawa. And in the meantime, what does all of the state-funded, state-subsidized fake news mainstream media in Canada start doing in tandem, in lockstep? They start demonizing everyone and anyone who has a role to play in this movement of the truckers' convoy. They start calling the convoy extremist, right-wing, violent.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views, unacceptable views, unacceptable views, unacceptable views, unacceptable views, unacceptable views, unacceptable views.
You have Jagmeet Singh taking to Twitter saying he doesn't like the violent rhetoric coming out of the trucker convoy's social media, without giving an example, by the way, and while invoking his own newborn child to explain why he's so nervous and scared about the violent rhetoric he sees coming out of the convoy, which there's none of. I understand people are frustrated that we're still in this pandemic. We've sacrificed so much. When I hold my daughter, I think about getting through this safely so that kids can have normalcy again. And I'm concerned by the dangerous rhetoric we've seen from the convoy. No one should forget that at the Jagmeet Singh, after calling anti-maskers selfish extremists, was caught not wearing a mask, breaking his own COVID rules. The convoy is dangerous, Jagmeet? A hypocrite and a liar in a position of power is the definition of dangerous. By no means is anything in this convoy violent or defined by violence or the threat thereof. But that's the way the media is going with it, in lockstep. And by the way, just to back it up, when I say that the media is corrupt and subsidized by the government, if it's not the CBC and Radio-Canada, which are subsidized in the order of $1 billion a year, you have the Trudeau government who bailed out mainstream media with a $600 million bailout that went to hundreds, maybe under 200, but hundreds of media outlets in Canada. COVID ads, because that is disguised laundering of advertising dollars. That is a form of buying off the media. Run the narrative that we like, people, and we will use the government COVID advertising dollars to buy airspace on your networks so that you can survive, so that we can subsidize your operations with taxpayer dollars. That is what I mean when I say that the government has subsidized the media to buy them off and absolutely corrupt what they've been doing, which is exactly what they've been doing. The government buys off the media with direct financing in the order of $1 billion, with bailout money and with the indirect money laundering of taxpayer dollars to buy COVID advertising to make sure that they carry the message that they want. And that message now is that this convoy are extremists, violent, threatening. CJAD, through the liar Elias Makos, put out a tweet saying that the convoy has threatened to go to politicians' homes, that the Aaron O'Toole government is negotiating with them, and their top line is that they want to overthrow the government. Today on hashtag the Elias Makos Show, MPs have been warned that the trucker convoy protesters may target their homes. Wow, that's a fancy car. Aaron O'Toole says he will meet with the group whose top line request is overthrowing the government. Do you think they are taking this protest too far? Call us at 9:30. And I had to respond with this. You are pathological liars and purveyors of misinformation. It's no wonder at Elias Makos blocked me on Twitter. It's embarrassing having your face rubbed in your dishonesty. This is what state-funded... You go listen to CJAD, you're going to hear more COVID ads than other ads. To say that CJAD survives off taxpayer dollars that are funneled through it through a corrupt government to buy them off is an understatement. You have them saying now that the convoy's mission is to overthrow the government and that they're threatening to go to the homes of politicians, you cannot have more dishonest, disingenuous, misinformation, propaganda coming out of any outlet. But these are the mainstream media outlets. The convoy has amassed a momentum like that episode of The Simpsons when Bart became the I didn't do it boy, and it just spreads like wildfire, and it acquires its own momentum like a planet acquiring critical mass that makes it so heavy and dense that it attracts other matter, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That is what you have with this trucker convoy now. To the point where Elon Musk is tweeting about it. Zuby is tweeting about it. Russell Brand is covering it. American media is covering this more than Canadian media because at the very least, it's a distraction from their own issues, but they are not bought off by the Trudeau government. So they cover it because people are interested in it. And if the Canadian media had to actually work for their money, they would cover stories that people are actually interested in, and they would cover this honestly. Not ignore it until they couldn't ignore it anymore, and then following the orders, the wink of an eye, indirect orders of their financiers, the government, spin it and demonize everyone involved in it. This convoy, it's something beautiful to watch. I didn't appreciate what it was about at the beginning, and it is not about only trucker vaccine mandates. It is about regaining our freedom as a nation. It is about fighting peacefully, politically, through peaceful protest, through showing up with your trucks and saying, no government, you don't own my body, you don't own my life, you don't own my livelihood, you don't own my family. That is what it means to be a free country. And this government has taken away our freedom, and this trucker convoy is coming there, if not to regain the freedom, at least to protest the systematic tyranny that we've been living under for the last 2 years. I'm going to try to do a live stream on this. I'm going to be covering it, discussing it Sunday. Stay tuned for some updates tomorrow from the James O'Keefe Project Veritas Muckraker book launch event. It's going to be beautiful. Haven't cut my hair yet because I don't have my freedom yet. But when I get my freedom, I might just keep the hair as a memento. So you know what to do. If you like my stuff, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this around, and help continue with this momentum because the truckers arrive in Ottawa tomorrow and the day after. I'm back in Montreal in less than 48 hours, and I will be in Ottawa, if I can, Monday. So with that said, peace out. Oh yeah.